We are at Pátio da Galene in Lisbon, the venue for AECM Lisbon 2026, the largest European Congress on guarantees organized by Banco Português de Fomento and Sociedade de Garantia Mútua. In this sixth episode of Fomentar Portugal videocast, we will talk on guarantees and their impact on business growth. My guests are Guy Selberg, President of AECM, Rui Teixeira, Executive Director of Sociedade de Garantia Mútua, and Artur Mendes, Director of Commercial Development at Banco Português de Fomento. Thank you to all three. Guy, I'll start with you. AECM brings together guarantee institutions from all over Europe to make it easier for SMEs to get finance. From your experience as President, what do you see as AECM's key role today in supporting guaranteed institutions?
Well, the key role today is this gathering. It's the best practice exchange. It's very important. We are an association with 50 members out of 33 countries, and we see really unique approaches in the different countries. So best practice, I would say today, like we gather here in Lisbon, is the best way to exchange knowledge. Of course, the political representation is very important to us because laws, regulation changes, and we need to adjust it to become more efficient as guarantee institutions. So this is important to us. And of course, we want to promote the idea of guarantees, the impact guarantees can have on the economy. So we have, for example, studies that measure impact, and this is very important. So we know that €1 invested, even if you have a default, is paid back 70-fold. So this is really for times where budgets are really tight. This is good news. So with guarantees, you can really boost the economy.
Thank you, Rui. 2025 was an exceptional year for Sociedade de Garantia Mútua. We will analyze it next, but first, how do you describe, and Guy was just describing on a high level, European level, the impact of guarantees on companies. How do you describe the impact of guarantees in our companies in Portugal?
Okay, so this month the Central Bank of Portugal issue a report regarding the impact of guarantees on the credit for companies. And this is a report which is very relevant for us, not only because we can confirm the importance that we have on granting, on making sure that companies have the credit to grow, but also because it allowed us to define exactly in which segments we are more relevant, and also to get a better perspective about the advantages for the companies. And what we see in that report is that last year in 2025, 1 out of 5 companies that have credit, had credit in the system, they made it with a guarantee. 25% is the real impact that we had in the system when companies go to their banks to assess credit. But there are also important information regarding the discounts, the benefits that companies have. So the average price for the contracts is roughly 3.7%. And if they make the contract with a guarantee, they get a discount that it's roughly 1%, 0.85. So it's a clear advantage for the companies. But also important information regarding the kind of business that we can support for the companies. Most of the loans granted by banks without guarantees, they have a maturity of 1 year. So either it's for working capital, or if it is for investment, it's a mistake. And we see this every day, mistakes in structuring the capital and the financing of the balance sheet of the company. So clearly we have an advantage when a company wants to grow, wants to make an investment, they should do it with us. Second information relevant is about the size of the loan. We see that the credits without guarantees focus mainly on 2 buckets. below 250,000 euros or above 1 million, great companies. Our loans with guarantees, mostly 80% are on the bucket of 250,000 and 500,000, which clearly for us is the information that this is for companies that are on the perspective of growing. Another benefit, information very relevant, is that most of the loans made by banks, they have a maturity of up to 1 year, which is very short. And the average of our maturities is between 5 and 8 years, which is more, reasonable for a company that is growing. So this is information very relevant from the Central Bank of Portugal, so an independent source, about the importance that we have on the credit and on helping companies to grow, and mostly the very small and the medium companies, which we know that in Portugal are the basis of our economy.
The large majority.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Artur, still on the guarantees, but from Banco Português de Fomento side, guarantees are the most widely used product in our house, so at BPF. How do they support growth, mostly or especially on SMEs?
Okay, well, guarantees are the instrument that removes the main barrier to SME financing, which is the perceived bank risk. With direct impact on the cost of funding, the tenor of operations and collateral requirements. But BPF has a broad product offering, translating into significant impact on business and on the national economy. If we look at the key milestones of 2025, we secured 5.7 billion euros in guaranteed financing, the execution of capitalization and resilience fund exceeding 2024 levels by 98%, and 3.4 billion in project finance and the channeling of public grants to the economy, accelerating investment in strategic areas of Portuguese economy. That's the range of our intervention.
Let me just reinforce that percentage. 98%
plus
the variation between 24 and 25.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Guy, back to you. Guarantees are often the missing piece that allows viable companies to get bank loans, just like Rui was saying before regarding the study from the Portuguese Central Bank. Even when they lack collateral, especially in more challenging economic times. How do you see the role of guarantees evolving in Europe in the coming years to help companies invest, grow, and most important, stay competitive?
Well, we have to see that we passed a very challenging period of time. We have ongoing crisis times. So I would say that the guarantee institution have really shown that it is a crisis-proven instrument. So we have this recommendation from the World Bank, from OECD. This instrument really gained after all those crises, because we see that in times where you need to help the companies, you need flexible instruments. And as you say, the missing link is turning a no if you have a refusal for a credit in a yes, because you are really optimistic and see the perspective of the company. And what we see in Portugal was really amazing, how the guarantee just developed this transformational power for the economy. So startup financing, transition financing, growth financing, this is just something usual, but the approach we saw, and we really discussed it intensively within our experts in the group, of this pre-approved guarantees you had. Was really a game changer, I would say. So, and you saw the effects you had in Portugal, and I think Portugal the economy is doing better as the German one at the moment. I can say that because I am German.
Yeah.
So I think this is, we should think new. And sometimes we just think in the restrictions we know because of, yes, law, because of Ministry of Finance and other involved parties. And sometimes it would be good to have a restart like you had in Portugal.
Think new, and I would add aligned with the company's needs.
Yes.
That's what we did. Instead of wait for their requests, we had a proactive attitude, and we sent in advance those pre-approved guarantees, and it was really a game changer. Rui, Guy was reinforcing the relevance of guarantees in different scenarios. We had in the past and this year some crisis scenarios, and Artur will talk about it later. But to you, and as I was telling in the beginning, 2025 was really a great year for Sociedade de Garantia Mútua and the business. What were the key factors to SGM last year, to this huge success?
Okay, so I confirm 2025 was a fantastic year for us. We managed to merge the 4 companies, which we did, and finalize that in December. And we had a production that was 10 times what we have done in the average of the last years. Okay, but I think what is relevant is to share with us what were the key factors for this success. And I've chosen 3 pillars that I consider the most relevant ones. First was customer experience. Customer experience in the society, in Sociedade de Garantia Mútua, was awful. I still have the documents that were needed.
Previous to 2025.
Exactly. I mean, it was like a brick. The customer had to, collect 20 to 30 documents.
Yeah.
Documents that were already in the bank, but that the customer had to repeat. So, and only for collecting the documents, the customer and the bank needed more than 1 month. So this was the first pillar important for us. So what we did was that we made a protocol with the banks, because the banks are institutions, reliable institutions that have already done the know your customer. So we delegate this task on the banks, and from a brick of documents, we moved to 4 documents that we ask the customer. So the assessment of the documents takes us 2 days.
We have simplified the process.
Exactly. And this is a major improvement, not only for the company, but also for the bank that has to, is the intermediary in the process, and also for the team, which has to go back and forth to collect documents, to correct the errors, and so on. So this was the first one. The second one was the credit decision process. So the credit decision process is very, very robust in the Sociedade, but takes a long time, and it's the same for micro or big companies. So what we did was that we selected the key factors for a decision. We ran an algorithm, and we pre-approved line of credits for the customer. And this has multiple advantages. First of all, for us, because whenever an application comes, rather than taking 2 or 3 weeks for the decision, it takes 1 day, just to make sure that everything is okay and the decision is taken. But also it gives a special power for the companies, and from my perspective, this is probably the most important. Why? Because usually in the past, the guarantees, the applications came upon request of the bank. Why? Because the bank didn't trust enough on the customer. The company didn't have real collaterals to provide to the bank, so they came to us. So not most, but a big part of the guarantees were issued on customers that had a lower level of risk. What we saw from the pre-approved is that on a scale 1 to 12 of rating, credit risk rating, we moved from an average of 6, 7 to 4, 5. So it also allowed us to bring to ourselves, because the experience is better customers. And this is also very important for us. And the third was taking care of the team, because, I mean, people working in the company were very demotivated. So there was a lot of efforts that were done to improve the motivation of the team. We started an incentive scheme, which was, very important for the motivation of the team. But also we developed some dashboards, some new information, and also that allowed the team to make an effort to be more proactive on contacting customers and banks. So I believe that this repeal as customer experience, credit decision process, motivation of the team were the key success factors for the company.
And the results are very clear. So
Yeah, but
great
also the
news.
challenges ahead.
Yes. So, Artur, we were referring to crisis scenarios, and we just had, unfortunately, in the beginning of this year in Portugal, the hurricane Christine that had a huge impact in families, companies, and so on. But let's look at these specific kind of scenarios, such as the reconstruction in areas affected, and now more recently with the energetic support. Do they play an even more important role than in, let's call it, the regular scenarios?
Yes, they do. In fact, they represent a central role. In these moments of crisis, BPF's intervention in partnership with the Mutual Guarantee Society and commercial banks is fundamental. Not only for the immediate support to SMEs and families, but also because these moments are a huge opportunity to drive the Portuguese economy forward. And in that way, by now, to that end, we have three major engines active. The first one, it's the reconstruction support line with 2 billion euros available. Then the IFIC Mais line with 1.5 billion euros, and the Portugal Energy Resilience line with 600 million euros. All these lines are available by now, and they have a role, a major role supporting economy. But in the recent past, with the Invest Export line, we responded to the rising tariffs in international trade, and soon, with the Impulsar line, we will launch a line addressing more specific needs of business in their day-to-day basis. So we believe that we will continue to have a central role supporting economy and SMEs and families in these moments of crisis and with big impact.
As we were speaking before, we are very close to the companies and their needs, so that our products from BPF and from Sociedade Garantia Mútua as well can be the most effective as possible to their daily basis businesses. Last question to the three of you. The name of this videocast in Portuguese, Gui, is Fomentar Portugal, Fostering Portugal, something like this. What does Fostering Portugal means to you?
Well, to me, it means we are in Lisbon, and I feel the spirit of exploration, of innovation. And I think we should just unleash the power of Portuguese companies just to give push to the European economy, and hopefully other economies will follow this dynamic growth you have here. So this is what I would think about if you ask me this question.
Rui, same question.
Well, Fermentar Portugal, so we are facing a lot of challenges as a country and also in Europe altogether. And for me, Fermentar Portugal means that we need to help with better solutions to help the companies to become bigger, to grow, and to be relevant partners and relevant companies in Portugal. So this is the challenge that we have to keep on helping them to grow.
As Gonçalo Regalado used to say, to become the micro, medium, and the medium large company.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good idea.
Artur,
In this line, it means we have this responsibility and we conjugate it in the present tense. Okay, because every guarantee we issue is a decision with responsibility, with consequences. In jobs preserved or in new jobs, in the growth of SMEs, of the regions of our country, and give you some one figure and one important figure. In 2025, our impact in GDP growth was by 2.2%. And this reveals the real impact of our intervention. It's real and it's now, as we like to do.
as our colleagues from the KfW called us, we are the fast boat of Europe. So great news. Guy, Rui, Artur, thank you for your participation. We'll be back next month with more updates on our business. Until then, continue to follow us on the different digital platforms.